while we're waiting around, singing the blues. Turn on the radio for highway news.
Autonomous vehicles, self-driving cars, driverless cars. All of those are words that describe a concept that we always associate with a cyber-utopian future. And this was the case in 1939, when General Motors revealed their radio-controlled car prototype, which was essentially the first concept of the self-driving car. While this was an impossible concept to realize with the technology of the time, the dream of a future with cities of fully integrated autonomous vehicles lived on throughout the 20th century. Nowadays, this technology might be closer than you think. In fact, you might even be driving a car that is semi-autonomous. It is estimated that we can see fully autonomous cars being integrated into mainstream commercial culture as soon as the 2050s, and this is the worst-case scenario. Self-driving cars are expected to revolutionize our cities, the way we live, and the way we interact with machines, so it is only timely to understand the social, economic, ethical, and legal impacts and challenges that this technology might bring to our society.
Let's start with the social impacts we might face. With human drivers becoming irrelevant for self-driving cars, we expect to see a huge change in the design of car interiors, focusing on a more comfortable experience. Driving a car will no longer result in wasted time. Instead, it will become a part of society's source of productivity, entertainment, and comfort. In addition to this, we can also expect to see a huge overhaul in how our traffic flow is designed. As human error is completely removed from traffic, self-driving cars will be able to accelerate and decelerate in sync, switch lanes without causing other cars to brake, and ideally make traffic lights irrelevant by communicating with each other to decide their behavior at intersections. This will allow us to have more efficient traffic, giving us more time to spend for ourselves. It is also predicted that personal car ownership will decline and a new taxi-like service will become the main mode of transportation, which is expected to make people opt for more rural areas to live, reducing urban density and giving us cities that will become the cultural and social centers of our society rather than the clusters of suburbia we currently have. It seems all utopian, but let's consider a major social challenge we might face: mass unemployment. The elimination of human drivers will render current delivery and transportation services obsolete, and the decline of personal car ownership is predicted to damage automobile and petroleum industries. Both of those factors are expected to leave millions of people unemployed globally.
As self-driving cars become a more prominent part of the market, attention has turned towards a new problem. Who is liable for any accidents that involve a self-driving car? The current liability policy utilizes the car's collection of data in the minutes before the crash, as well as the crash itself, to analyze where to place blame. Blame is assigned depending on who had control of the car at the time. For example, if there is a coding or mechanical error in the car, then the manufacturer is to blame. However, if the driver was not paying attention or made a driving mistake, then the blame must be placed on the driver. Several manufacturers of these automated systems have come forward accepting the blame for any injuries or damages that are caused by their systems. While this has not been a universal adoption by all automakers, it does give insight to the confidence that they have in the ability of their self-driving cars to predict and react accordingly to their surroundings, in order to keep both the passengers and the pedestrians safe. As more of this type of technology is introduced to the road, the rules will have to be modified to clarify and identify the changing roles and responsibilities of drivers and pedestrians, as well as to assign liability when accidents do occur.
Fit them from an ethical standpoint, particularly when it comes to the car's ability to make a decision when an accident is unavoidable. A classic problem that describes the ethical choice a self-driving car must make is that of the trolley problem. Briefly, this problem states that if you see a runaway trolley car heading toward 5 people tied up on one side of the tracks, and one person is tied up on the other, which is the more ethical way to direct the trolley? This is the same problem that we currently face in writing what's known as the accident algorithm that's used to make that same decision in a self-driving car. While a human driver can quickly assess a situation, a self-driving car can only react in ways that a programmer has designed it to. However, due to the human reaction time being much slower than that of a computer, a self-driving car has the potential to not only foresee, but also process the best way possible to react in an unavoidable crash. This, however, is one of the major ethical challenges that comes into play as self-driving cars continue to develop. To make this work, we found that society as a whole must come to an agreement on any and all of the potential parameters that must be used, not only in building the accident algorithm in a more ethical way, but doing so as to improve the overall safety and experience of self-driving cars within society, thus leading to an increase in their adoption rate.
When looking at a major technological change such as self-driving vehicles, it is important to think about the economic changes that come with it. Most families own at least 1 or 2 cars, and with car ownership, we have an industry servicing those vehicles. If people decide to choose a cheaper Uber-type service with autonomous vehicles as their drivers rather than the more expensive car ownership option, the local independent auto mechanic will go out of business because the autonomous vehicles will be sent to a centralized service factory for the dominant fleet company. Most manufacturers will go out of business, dealerships will go out of business since buying will only happen from the fleet company, auto lending companies will also not be needed if people decide not to buy vehicles, and many gas stations will be put out of business if the self-driving vehicles are provided with the less expensive electric option. The automobile industry today revolves around direct consumer ownership, financing, and servicing the vehicle. If people decide to take the less expensive self-driving Uber-type service, we will definitely see a shift in the economy.
As of now, cars are only semi-autonomous, meaning that the AI can only assist the driver in completing certain maneuvers such as parking. However, progress is coming. Recently, Tesla released an update that allowed their vehicles to autonomously make the choice to switch lanes. As self-driving cars become reality and mainstream, and their abilities become more refined, the more the legal and social challenges surrounding their use become prevalent and pressing. With such little research conducted in accordance to the changes that would occur with the addition of fully autonomous vehicles onto the roadways, the full extent of social change that would come about due to this new and exciting technological force is mostly unknown.
Measure speed and direction. Check. I'll tune speed first.
Hey, Mr. Tower Man, where do we light? Where do you suggest that we relax?